Season 4 patch notes are upon us. Let's take a look at what's happening. First up, we got Captain America. Captain's damage output is getting a slight downgrade, removing his team up anchor damage boost of 5%. Alright, so 5% less across the board, they're just removing that anchor bonus from his team up. Doctor Strange is getting some changes to his Maelstrom. He's going to be able to get them off a little bit more often, from 8 seconds down to 6. So that is really good because oftentimes you're going to get yourself back into the purple state where you can't be healed before you can get off another Maelstrom in some intense team fights. And it really doesn't feel great when you're playing Doctor Strange. Making it so it's more about how fast you can generate up the charge, and reducing some of the cooldown will be very beneficial to good Doctor Stranges who land their hits. He's getting a HP reduction to make up for this, 25 off of his top. That's a little bit painful, but I think the damage increase is going to be worth it. Emma Frost here is having her Diamond Form cooldown increased up to 18 seconds from 15, so a little bit less time spent able to chokeslam people. A lot of the divers are going to like this. It's not crippling to Emma by any means, but it is going to give a little bit of breadth of room for players playing around her. Next, her Telepathic Pulse, her channel ability, isn't going to charge as quickly if it hits shields. So Doctor Strange and Magneto are going to be able to block a little bit more of her telepathic gain, and she's not going to be able to just charge up while you're being correctly defensive against her. So that's just some better counterplay against her abilities. For Thor, his ultimate is getting a couple of changes. First, increased speed. This is what I was expecting. He's going to move a little bit faster while he's ulting and going to be able to keep up with targets better. Really good news for Thor. It's always frustrating that people can basically just walk out of his ultimate. This will stop them from being able to do that. Whoever you chase during your ultimate, you're going to be able to land it on unless they find some other way to get out and escape. Second, when he slams the ground, he's going to stun enemies for a second. A second doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it is actually pretty crippling. This in a major team fight can be really big news, and that stun could stop a lot of different abilities. Very good news for Thor. If he is ulting in team fights, being able to stun the entire enemy team could really line him up to do some good playmaking potential. Next up is Penny Parker's webs and ult changes. If you get hit by her spider drones in her webs, so that's from both her shift webs as well as the spider drones that come out when she ults, you get slowed. And each one that explodes on you slows you by 8%, stacking up to 40% slow, it says. That is significant. It's going to make it so like you can't just walk out of her ultimate anymore because she's going to be slowing you down and keeping you stuck in those webs. Really good news for Penny. It'll be interesting to see if this is enough to actually push her ultimate up into what is considered usable, because right now it is still considered pretty weak. Black Panther. Survivability reduction. He's going to get less bonus health when he hits targets that are marked with Vibranium, from 30 down to 25, so 5 less HP gained whenever he hits one of those targets, and his max HP is going down from 300 to 275. He probably didn't need to be one of the 300 HP characters because of how fast he is. I think this is decent. Really fast characters should be easier to take down when they do get locked down. Really great change. Blade. They're wanting to make his sword form better, because right now you just stay in shotgun form if you're actually good at Blade. This is going to gain a 10% almost, close to 10% increase in damage from his sword, from 22 to 24. Lots more damage out of the sword. 2 doesn't sound like a lot, but it does end up really adding up with that 10 speed slash bonus. Really going to bring him up in line closer to other of the duelists. I think he might still be on the weak side with the sword. We'll see. This is a nice slight raise to him. They want to be very careful with Blade because he is a dangerous character to overbuff. So up here, magic. It looks like a lot, and that's just because her team up anchor is going away, and then the whole right side here is basically just adjustments to her damage based off of the fact that she's no longer a team up anchor. So they're just increasing Soul Slash, Whirlwind, Demon, basic attack, her Dark Child form. Everything is just getting a buff to make up for the lost team up anchor bonus. The cool change to magic is over on the left hand side, reducing the charge time of her slash. So when she charges up her right click and unleashes that slash, 1.2 seconds instead of 1.8 seconds. That's a lot faster to be able to get those slashes off. And then they're adding a new effect to the slash, which makes it pierce enemies, so it can go through multiple targets, and it is going to reduce the cooldown on your stepping disc by 1 second per enemy hit. This is going to give her some awesome ways to get back her escape options and for really good team fight damage boosts. In the middle of a team fight now, if she launches out a quick magic slash through multiple enemies, that's going to reset her stepping discs, allowing her to get more demons out or more Eldritch Whirls out. Either or, lots more damage out for magic. A cool new enhancement to that slash effect, so it's not going to feel so restrictive. Moon Knight, they said, was getting a buff, and I don't think this was the buff that anybody was expecting. His right-click Moonblade is getting 2 charges instead of 1, and they're on a 6-second to recharge cooldown. All right. That's a lot more burst potential. If he gets off 2 full Moonblades into an Ankh with targets on it, that's a lot of damage, and his team fight damage is going to boost a lot here. Psylocke is getting a nerf, decreasing the retrieval damage of her shurikens down a little bit. So her shurikens, when they come back, currently deal close to as much damage as they went out. They're reducing that quite a bit, and they're making it so that really skilled Psylocks are going to get a little bit less out of her. Lower end Psylocks aren't going to see very much out of this change because they don't land all of their shurikens anyways, so the retrieval full damage isn't as much of a hindrance to them. We should see this be more of a top end curve than a bottom end curve. Scarlet Witch. First, huge change. Mystic Projection, she can be healed while she's phased. This is huge, especially for healers like Adam Warlock who have burst healing on a cooldown. Actually being able to heal her while she's phased means that you're never going to have tried to heal her when she shifts, and none of your healing apply to her, and then you can't heal her because her heal's on cooldown. I've complained about it before when playing on Adam Warlock. This is a big news for her because shifting is really her defensive state to be able to get away from enemies, and being able to be healed while she's not targetable by enemies will let you keep her alive way better. Next up, her ultimate. Recently, they buffed it up to 800 damage to make sure that nobody could survive it. People were still surviving it, so they've now increased it to 9,999 damage. If you get hit by your ultimate, you are dying. You need to use a shield block some way to not get hit, but if it does go off on you, you will die. Next up, it's getting a new effect that's going to constantly pull enemies that are within 15 meters to her towards the center. This is going to make it a lot harder when she actually gets her ultimate off on top of a target for that target to actually just run away from her. This pull is going to make a huge difference in team fights and actually give her another kind of new effect on that ultimate. If her ultimate isn't going to go off successfully exploding and killing people, it is still going to now be able to pull people into the center, grouping them up for your team to be able to handle them better. It'll be a lot harder for people to focus her down because of the forced movement. Really cool change, and not at all what I was expecting for a change here on Scarlet Witch. Squirrel Girl, we're getting a reduction in her acorn damage from 110 down to 100, and then her right-click Squirrel Blockade is getting a 15 damage bonus, and the cooldown on her reset her cooldowns is going from 10 seconds up to 15. Okay. I actually thought they were going to add a maximum distance application to her burst acorn, not just reduce her damage output entirely, because all this changes reduces her effectiveness in general, but we'll see how it all plays out for Squirrel Girl. She does do way too much damage from far. Winter Soldier, Trooper's Fist, new effect. Second Strike now applies a 1-second debuff to enemies hit, preventing them from using mobility abilities. So I think this is when he does his charge up punch shot, right? That's his right click. If it hits you, it's now going to have a second strike that makes it so you can't dash away and locks you down for a second, lining you up for an easier, again, right into your face. Invisible Woman is getting some changes. Slow effect from going through her right click shield is going up just a little bit. Her invisible ultimate is getting 15 more healing per second. That's pretty good because it's one of the weakest in the healing per second categories, and this is going to make it so that less people are likely to die within it. One of the biggest frustrations of playing Invisible Woman. Finally, all enemies within that ultimate are getting a 20% slow. Getting slowed down while in the ultimate is big news for Invisible Woman. She is going to be able to get a lot more control over the battlefield, ulting onto an enemy team, and your allies are going to be able to get off a lot more powerful combos into your ability. Loki, he's reducing the illusion healing ratio from 100 to 80%. So Loki clones are now going to heal a little bit less than the base Loki himself. That's a okay change. It's pretty decent. It keeps his solo Loki healing pretty on par while reducing the effectiveness at 1 and 2 clones. Ultimate abilities period is going to go down, so less duration that he can be the clone target, and then after using a long duration ability like a healer ultimate, he is not going to gain as much extension on that full 15 seconds, so now it's full 12 seconds and then plus 3 making it 15 max, where before it was 20 max. Jeff the Landshark, they did exactly what I wanted them to do here with Jeff. Its Jeff ultimate ability now leaves an 8-meter radius healing pool at the point of activation. So when he dives down, a small pool is going to appear where he dived from that does 100 healing per second to allies that stand in it. This is big news because one of the biggest problems of the Jeff ultimate is that it removes healing from your team while he's trying to line it up, and it puts all of the pressure on your other strategists to be effective. This is now going to enable Jeff to be a much better second strategist instead of a third strategist kind of deal. So he can work in 2 healer comps here because when he ults, he can leave a pool. Your ranged and other healer can hang out in that pool to receive healing while he goes and lays out his ultimate. Really good news for Jeff and exactly the change I wanted. For Luna Snow, we see 2 seconds off of her ultimate. I was hoping they were going to bring it down to 8, but they're leaving it at 10. Her ultimate was just too long, and 2 seconds off it is going to help. For Mantis, her passive movement speed boost now decays down over 2 seconds after taking an instance of damage, rather than just immediately slowing her down right off the bat. This is going to be not as jarring when you're moving around as her, because you move rather quickly and you take a point of damage and suddenly it's like you're walking through concrete, and this is going to be a pretty good change, making it so that she slowly slows down and can still get the level of movement that she was looking for. Ultron, I'm not sure about this change. His ultimate ability's damage bonus is now 125% effective to bonus health. So if you've got the blue health on you, Ultron's ultimate is going to chip that off a lot faster. Not the change to Ultron's ultimate that I was expecting. We'll see if this actually ends up being something significant. Venoms are really going to feel this, and possibly Angela, who is just coming out, is going to feel this a little bit because there's quite a bit of bonus health over there. But I don't know. I don't see this one being that impactful. And there's one last change here. This is talking about all the team abilities, just which ones changed. We have a video going over all that. But over here, Scarlet Witch reduced the surge explosion damage upon hit from 12 to 6. So when she has her team up from Doctor Strange, the explosions from her right click aren't going to be as powerful. I was saying they needed to bring her team up versus not team up more in line. And what I meant was I wanted them to buff her not team up right clicks a little bit. But what they're doing is nerfing down the team up right clicks. All right. Yeah, that's a little bit disappointing there for Scarlet to receive the nerf there, but the change to her ultimate is pretty cool. These are the balanced patch notes. I think they did a pretty good job. I think we're going to see a really solid season, more of the healers brought in line and opening up that healer pool quite a bit, which they also did in the last patch, right? Season 3.5 opened the healer pool with the team up changes. And then this one does more so, improving some of the weaker healing ultimates. The healer pool being wider and more accessible to players is going to make a big difference. And then they did a good job on the tanks too. I think this is going to be a good season. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'm Zesty Fresh from Sazaza Games, and we'll catch you guys next time.